your unit got it and you want to be the main contact, please let me know. And we can make sure that we can update all the information in there. And then I've had a few other questions. So I just wanted to give everybody a reminder that all adults in camp need to be registered leaders. Even if they're coming for a few days, we need everybody registered and quarried and storied. And we're going to talk about adults in camps later on in the presentation. So I think that's all that I wanted to update you on at this point. So Ryan, you can change the screen.
All right, so, oh, sorry, I'm still admitting some people to here, but we come to the fun part. I've got a really short part. Nothing's changed program-wise. We're still looking at doing everything that we can do. There might be some requirements for merit badges that we are not able to get to because of COVID, but that will be communicated later on. Again, those are still changing, so we're still digesting those. There's nothing hard and fast right now that says that any requirements that we used to be able to get at camp, we're not going to be able to get at camp this year. So I'm pretty confident in saying that camp is going to run almost like it used to. Obviously, we're still going to be capping people for certain merit badge classes and stuff like that. But I think that we'll be able to get all of the requirements. So I have a merit badge sign up form. We're going to be using a Google form this year for Scouts. Let me just show you guys that really quickly. Hopefully I don't freeze on you all. There we go. Oh my. How do I get rid of this thing at the top of my screen? All right, so the form, you guys can all see my screen right now? Okay, the form that you guys are going to get is going to look like this. So it's going to ask for the email of whoever is completing this form, wherever we can get them in contact with us. Put that email down. It's going to ask for the Scout's first name, last name, and their troop number. So at that point, it's going to ask you which, if any, specialty programs the Scout is doing. And depending on which specialty program they're doing, it's going to send you to a different form. So let's say they want to do COPE in the mornings. It's going to send them to a form where they can only choose a merit badge from block number 4. And it only has the merit badges that are available for that block number. Now, if I go back and I hit no select individual badges, it's going to offer you 4 different merit badge blocks with 4 different alternatives for them to pick from. Again, each merit badge block has only the things that are running that block. Now, the one problem with this is that the double blocks, they're only available to be signed up for during the start. So I know like we have metalworking block 3 to block 4. So metalworking is only available to be signed up for in block 3. And then from there, please have your Scouts just leave block 4 blank. It's not required, so they will be able to just move on without things there. If they don't want to do a merit badge certain blocks, they're free to just leave any of these blank where they don't want a merit badge. And of course, if they change their mind the Sunday before camp, you know, or when they're at camp on Sunday, we can definitely fit them in somewhere that they want to be. Similar to this will be the adventure block schedule. We're just finalizing all of those adventure blocks right now. So you'll be receiving an email from Kelly that basically just has these forms. They'll also be up on the website. All of this will be done by the end of the week this week. So you'll be looking out for that. You'll get a merit badge selection form, an adventure block selection form. We'll just have, you'll pick 6 different adventure blocks that the patrols want to do. Again, these are going to be the kind of the cohorts. So your units should figure out who's going to be in a patrol, and that's the patrol that they're going to be probably eating with and doing adventure blocks with. And then they'll pick 6 different ones and they'll be put into them throughout the week, Monday through Thursday, for that adventure block. And I think that's it for me. Does anyone have any questions on that?
So Ryan, do you have a question in the chat? Cam, do you want to while we're on the merit badges. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna hold that. So Rob, I see you have a question. We've got a couple of questions about that. And I also wanted to mention, if anyone has any questions, even not pertaining to this, please put them in the chat. And then we're gonna do a big question and answer session at the end and get everything answered all in one time so we can get through the presentation, okay? All right, so, yep, and all the merit and all the adventure blocks will be signed on by unit, correct, Ryan?
Yeah, so every unit should have every patrol sign up for each patrol because all of the adventure blocks will be by patrol this year. There will be no unit-based adventure block programming. If you want the unit to do it all at one, all of your unit patrols should sign up for the same one. And we'll stick you guys all together if that's what you're looking for.
Okay. All right. So we can just jump into the hot topic of the evening, and that is recreational camp and COVID-19. So I'm going to let Aaron take it from here. Aaron?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. I will tell you at the outset, there's nobody happier about the end of COVID as we know it than me. I've been living COVID-19 since February of last year as the chair of the OCAM Board of Health. I will, at the outset, though, disclose that I am the chair of the OCAM Board of Health, but as a board member of Heart of New England Council, I do not vote or offer any opinions in public meeting or privately related to the OCAM Board of Health due to a conflict. However, I have been intimately involved in all of the COVID calls that are held twice a week with the state of Massachusetts. I think everybody has had questions about testing, masking, cohorts, dining, tenting, cleaning, and visitors. And up until a month ago, we had no answers on any of those. Starting a month ago, even when boards of health received answers to those questions, all that elicited was more questions, which immediately caused the state of Massachusetts to say, hold on, we might need to change things. And as of late this afternoon, the state of Massachusetts, in light of the governor's announcement this morning, updated the recreational camp and programs health and safety standards for reopening. And what I can tell you is that our council has been meeting on this, thinking about what if scenarios, met as recently as I think 2 or 3 weeks ago with a plan to kind of move forward on some of these things, expecting things to change. And like I said, today they did. So the state has, in most of the cases, originally there were 9 pages of mandatory requirements that were oppressive, in my opinion. Today is 9 pages of a few mandatories and the rest as what they call advised best practices. And so the council, as of about 30 minutes ago, myself as a member of our council's risk management committee will be meeting on, with others, we'll be meeting on Wednesday afternoon to review these late breaking advisories. And as a result, it would be premature for me to say what exactly is going to be the case. We do know some things, though. We do know, I can tell you that as a Board of Health member, I would strongly recommend, first and foremost, that everybody who is eligible and safe to do so receive a vaccine prior to coming to camp. The relaxation of all of these COVID requirements has been due to the fact that So many in Massachusetts have been vaccinated, and the percentage of positive cases has gone down so much since vaccines have begun. This week, or actually last week, individuals who are 12 and up are able to get vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. And so personally, I would strongly recommend that. The state of Massachusetts is strongly recommending that campers 12 and up are vaccinated. And our council will discuss on Wednesday our recommendation. But I would not expect anything beyond a recommendation, just to alleviate any fears on that. But all of this is predicated on the hope that the risks are mitigated by vaccines right now. So at the moment, there will be no testing required in Massachusetts. No testing required as far as a PCR test 3 days before camp, and no testing required on the day of arrival, according to the state's current requirements as of today. I say current because I have seen the state change things on a weekly basis. However, that does not mean, and the state has not said, that they don't recommend testing. So that's something that our council will look at. And I have secured 900 test kits, the antigen Binax tests, for us to use should we need them. But right now, there's no mandatory PCR test or antigen test set forth by the state of Massachusetts. Masking, the state of Massachusetts has said that vaccinated individuals do not need to be masked. It is indoors and outdoors. The state does, however, at this moment, recommend that non-vaccinated individuals indoors remain masked. That was released today. And so that's following the CDC guidelines. And then the council will evaluate the advised best practices, which do recommend masking and social distancing for vaccinated individuals is considered to be safe. Cohorts, the state of Massachusetts has eliminated the requirement that cohorts be limited to 10 individuals because of the belief that vaccines are making a difference. However, they do recommend that camps strongly consider limiting sizes of cohorts and continuing social distancing. Again, the council will review this recommendation on Wednesday. Dining, specifically state that there are extra requirements for dining, but they do have their advisories, and the council will review those. Tenting, the council and the campers cannot be in the same tent together, but it is advised that there be head to foot sleeping arrangements. And the council has previously discussed that, and I will assume that that will continue to be the recommendation. Okay, can you hear me? Diane, I can see. Yeah, okay, I can see Diane. Okay, so again, the cohorts, no state requirement to limit them. However, they strongly recommend, and the council will review that again on Wednesday. Dining, same thing. Tenting, cleaning. They do require that cleaning continue as previously indicated in the requirements. And visitors, they still are strongly advising that visitors be limited to only those who have a strategic or a benefit to the program. I'm trying to reduce the number of outside individuals coming onto the property, especially when there's no understanding whether or not individuals have been vaccinated or not. And so the council will discuss visitors in the future, but it is the recommendation of the state that camps continue to restrict visitors to only those necessary for the program. So with that, Kelly, is there anything else?
Aaron, could you please just go over cohorts again? You broke up a lot during that section.
Okay, so cohorts are no longer required to be limited to 10 individuals according to today's released guidance. There is no mandate that cohorts be limited to 10 individuals. The state does, however, strongly suggest that camps still follow a limited group of cohorts. We might say a limited group in our experience is a troop or a patrol, however you want to define it. I should have said at the beginning, all of the requirements that were set forth were based on the fact that we were a 6-week YMCA camp. They were not based upon the Boy Scouts of America 100-year-old program. And so the 10 was really 10 kids that would live in a cabin on some YMCA camp, not what we bring to camp. So cohorts should be limited, and the council will review what we believe is the safest way to mitigate risk. And at the end of the day, as a public health nurse, as someone who's been involved in our program, nobody wants for there to be a COVID outbreak at camp. COVID has not gone away, and we do have to take necessary but reasonable precautions as it relates to what's mandatory and what's advised. What was the next question I saw?
Could you go over the tents again, Aaron?
Yep. So the state did say today that there is no person to attend. However, practice is head to toe. So that would be our recommendation as well, is that campers, one camper sleeps head to toe, the other one is the opposite. So they're not breathing in the same direction. In our tents, there might be 3 feet distance between the two. And so if we can swap ends of the bed, that would be a safer option. And I will expect that the council will formally make that ask of all participants, that's how sleeping is arranged.
Aaron, can I ask you a question about that tenting?
Yes.
So if they're saying that you have to sleep head to toe, isn't that more of a parent's choice to put their child in that situation? And if so,
yeah.
Regardless of what the camp recommends, you know, parents are going to say, I believe in this particular aspect or that. But in terms of the tenting, if a parent doesn't want their child sleeping in another tent, then you have to obey the parent's wishes regardless of what the camp wants. And if that's the case with an entire troop, and we have to be one boy per tent, And then I've also heard that there's a potential of maybe sharing sites based upon your troop size or your engagement size. At what point, if you bring 20 kids, you need 20 tents. Are we going to be allowed to use all of the camp's tents, or at what point do we have to bring our own tents for that scenario? If there is going to be site sharing.
So I would recommend that that's a question that needs to be presented to the council review on Wednesday. What I can tell you is that pre-COVID, there are strict requirements as a licensed recreational camp for children that would actually strongly probably prohibit the use of private tents. There are flame and tents requirements, there's space requirements. I can't speak on behalf of the OCAM Board of Health. However, I have reservations about private tents because they have to meet certain requirements in Massachusetts to go camping at a recreational camp for children that's licensed as such. They must sleep in a bed. They cannot sleep on a mat on the floor like we used to in the olden days. They have to be on a cot. So although I respect a parent's desire, I think what we would try to do is figure out how we can accommodate in tents that Treasure Valley provides, or set certain requirements of the size of the tent, and that it must have a cot that the participant brings so that the camp does not run into any problems with their permit inspection. Does that sort of answer your question, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I understood the part about not having your personal tent at summer camp. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what the council decides in terms of the other portion, because I think there's more at stake there.
Yeah, so if you could kind of put your question in writing, that I think that will, by using the chat, we're going to collect all these questions and make sure they are fielded by that group, or just send it to Kelly or me before Wednesday.
Yes, and I think there's gonna come up where there's going to be certain parents that want certain things, and I think as a troop they have to address those and then bring their concerns to us. We're going to hope the majority of the parents are going to be okay with sending their kids with vaccinations and all the precautions that are going to be in place. But I think at the point of those specific questions as well, we may have to wait till we get a little closer to July and see where everything is. Don't you think, Aaron?
I do think that the requirements pre-COVID.
Oh, we lost you, Aaron.
Fast. What is for somebody attending? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The requirements are pretty strict. So I think as of Wednesday, we're going to have kind of where we need to live within, and then on a case-by-case address those specific situations.
There was
a question about dining.
Yes.
So the state relaxed the specific requirements on eating. However, again, they have lots of best practice, advised best practices, which deal with spacing, serving of food, avoiding contact, having staff serve meals, no family style or self-service buffets. So that is my strong recommendation. Before COVID, that would have been my strong recommendation as well, to avoid family style due to the risk of foodborne pathogens and dirty hands. So the council will review that as well on Wednesday.
Okay. So we're going to go through the rest of the presentation, and then we will answer all of the questions for you. So I wanted to just tell everybody there is still a handful, not even a handful, a few more junior staff positions under 18. If anybody would like to know anyone who would like to be part of the staff, that would be great. Just a couple more positions that need to be filled. So there's that. Okay, Brian. All right, so we have reached the question and answer time of our presentation. And we're going to go through everybody. If anyone has any questions that they haven't put up, please put them in the chat. And then Cam will address them to each particular person specifically. All right, so Cam, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay, we'll start with some of the program questions, and then we'll move into COVID and more camp overall. So for program, there was a question, which merit badges will be capped?
We're looking at, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the little yellow thing isn't popping up, so I was a little concerned. Okay, we're looking at probably everything is going to have some sort of cap depending on where it's going. If we can do the badge outside, it will not. Any indoor merit badges will have to be capped. So handicraft badges obviously will have to. Swimming is one that's going to have to be capped. What we're looking at doing, depending on how many scouts are looking for it, we can always add in different blocks. We're looking at being very flexible depending on what comes through these Google Forms and working with you guys to make sure that those merit badges that the kids really want to see can be possible. So I am going to try my darndest to make sure that everyone gets like the first picks and not their alternates. I see a lot of things probably getting capped, and we might have other counselors coming in to teach various badges during those blocks and getting trained on other merit badges where they are, more popular, just so we can have multiple different sections of one badge going at a time. So we're going to make it work for you guys, even if they are capped. We're not going to turn away too many.
Thank you.
Mute yourself.
And along the lines of cohorts, what is the max size of a merit badge class?
So again, merit badge classes are going to be different. I would say your cohort, you only need to worry about your cohort when it comes to dining and when it comes to adventure blocks. I would strongly recommend just keeping whatever your patrol sizes are now. I assume they're close to around 8, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So that's probably an ideal size, especially when you factor in that 10 can fit at a table for dining. But however many you want to stick in there is going to be fine. Again, the cohort sizes were taken out of the regulations, so we're not too worried about that. Just any patrols that want to go, we're just looking at them to sign up for Adventures by Patrol.
Thank you. And when will the merit badge sign-up link be available?
The merit badge sign-up link, as soon as it can go online, I can send it to anyone or everyone right now. It's ready. I just need to get it online. So very soon, by the end of this week.
Thank you. What about Provisional Scouts with regards to merit badge signups?
Same way. So I think another question in there was, can units sign up for everybody at once, or do individual scouts need to sign up? The answer is going to be for merit badges, individual scouts need to sign up so that we can get a master list with the scout's name, and we can easily make reports for you all. We can send reports both to the unit leaders this way, and we can also make reports for our merit badge counselors to know who's going to be in their classes, as long as each person signs up individually.
And Ryan, if a unit leader wanted to collect all the information from the scouts, they could do it if they wanted to, correct?
Yes, they can. If they want to put in a paper copy, that's fine. We can input the data from there. Make sure that you have the scout's first and last name, the merit badges that they want, and any alternates that would be fine during those blocks as well. Unless it's a specialty program, they're probably not guaranteed to be admitted in. So they'll need alternates to any merit badge classes.
Will Scoutmasters get a list of what the scouts sign up for?
Yeah, so the way that we're doing this form, it should be easy to send a report through that Excel spreadsheet and send you guys a list of exactly what the scouts are doing at which blocks by the day that you arrive at camp. So Sunday, I would anticipate getting a list of where your scouts will be at each block, and also have the adventure lists ready for you on Sunday as well.
Is the unit leader able to input all of the scouts in the Google form themselves?
They can. Again, you just have to do each scout individually, so it depends how you want to do it.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to adventure blocks. Can an adult leader patrol do adventure blocks?
An adult leader patrol. So what we're going to do for adult leaders, you can run with your youth. That'll be completely fine if you want to do that. What we're also going to do, once we compile the list of adventures for scouts, we're going to see what's open, and we're going to compile a list on Sunday. We'll have a list of adventures that adults can go to. That way we make sure that the scouts get what they need first, and then we provide any kind of extra fun that we can for the adult leaders at camp. But again, yes, if you want to run with your patrol, that's perfectly fine as well.
And if you could just explain what an adventure block is really quickly.
Sure. The adventure block is patrol-based programming. So we have about 30 different activities for scouts to pick from. They'll be getting 4 of those. They'll be picking up to 6. And basically it's just team building games or different activities that are fun for patrols to do together.
Thank you. Do we require blue cards?
We will be giving, yes, we will be giving them blue cards if they don't come with a blue card for each merit badge.
Okay. Have the adventure blocks been published?
That's going to come out at the same time as the sign up form. So again, it's ready to go out. It just needs to be published on the web. And when it is published with the merit badge sign up and the adventure block sign up, you will get all 3 of those documents. So you'll get the 2 sign up forms, and you'll also get the published list of adventure blocks at that time. So within the week.
And just a final clarification. So cohort-based adventure blocks and food, but individual-based merit badges.
That is correct. Individual-based merit badges, evening programs, and free blocks. The cohorts aren't even really cohorts now. I think we're just going to call them patrols from now on, since that guidance has been taken out. The patrol-based adventure blocks, and they'll eat patrol-based as well, just for contact tracing purposes.
Are there adventures for older scouts?
We've got adventures for everyone. You've got anything from building your own boat down at waterfront, to geocaching, to making horseshoes, handicraft, everything in between, shootouts, free swim. There's plenty of things for everyone to do.
Thank you. And will the actual merit badges be for sale at camp along with rank badges?
I believe we're going to do it the same way that we did it in 2019, where you can put in an order, I would say Tuesday or Wednesday, and we can go out and get them for you. They will not be in the trading post for sale, though, no.
Where is the published list of merit badges to choose from?
That is online. Kelly, do you have the specifics of how to get there?
Yep, I'll drop it in the chat. Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
Can leaders come and go from camp during the week?
I'm going to send this to Kelly.
Yes. Oh, hold on, I lost the page. Okay. So yeah, so with the new guidance, we're going to limit though the visitors for the troops and the units with the parents. We're going to keep the visitors who are integral to the program, where they're coming in and running a program and doing the merit badges, because a lot of our programming is supplemented by our great volunteers from the council. And we're really happy that they'll be able to come in and do the program in addition to our staff with the merit badges. So visitors, not so much. Like Aaron said, we're going to just keep it to, you come to camp and we'll have our staff, and that's going to be it. And we'll know that definitely for sure after our council meeting on Wednesday. But I believe, Aaron, that's the way it's going, correct? Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. Back to Ryan. Can merit badge counselors be added to Scout Book instead of blue cards?
We're going to go fully one system so that we have, as a camp, we have something to go back on. If we use two different systems, we will completely mess up on you guys. I don't want that to happen. I'm more confident that if we do one system that's just blue cards, I know it's more of a hassle for you, I'm sorry, but that way nobody's getting missed in the shuffle of camp.
And just a concern with merit badges, we won't know for sure the choices have been confirmed until we arrive.
Sorry, I was trying to get the merit badge form. That is correct. I can try to get it a little bit earlier, but it's going to be difficult because of having to kind of maneuver people. I'm thinking Sunday is going to be probably the day that they get it. We can try to do a week out. I can try to offer that to you guys. I'm going to write that down now. 1 week out. I'll send you guys an email with where your scouts will be. How does that sound? Better? Okay. If that's the case, if we could have try to get all of the merit badge sign-up forms in at least 2 weeks prior to you attending camp, that'll make my life a lot easier to get everybody the merit badge lists where your scouts will be 1 week before.
Thank you. For BSI, what is the Brownsea Island format going to consist of this year?
We're not planning to change it at all, so it's going to look like we did in the past. So they'll be going through tenderfoot through first class requirements, as well as getting acclimated to camp and doing some fun activities. It's going to be the same format as it has been in years past.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Do scouts sign up for Brownsea Island like before?
So yes, that is going to be on that merit badge form. They're going to sign up for which session of Brownsea they want, and it'll send them to the other 2 merit badges that they can sign up for in the form.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. We're going to move on to the COVID questions. If I missed any of your program questions, please continue to send them to me, and we'll get back to it afterwards. But for Aaron, just a recap on the head-to-toe in the tenting.
So the advised best practice is that individuals sleep opposite in the tent. So if you're sleeping in a Treasure Valley tent, you're sleeping on a state-approved bedding cot with the proper square footage required by the state of Massachusetts, that has all of the fire safety plastered on it. And so that's the state requirements for that. The advisory is that it be head to toe.
And is the head to toe solely for vaccinated people or for everyone?
The recommendation is it's for everyone. That's the advised best practice. Again, the council will be reviewing the advised best practice on Wednesday.
will we be identifying those with a full vaccination?
So according to the mandatories, we have to do a handful of mandatories, which include educating all campers on at orientation at the start of the session to review COVID-19 protocols, encourage and educate on reporting of symptoms, not coming to camp if sick, and how to request a replacement mask if needed. Documentation is also collected, screening documentation, surveillance, medically necessary COVID testing results, previous testing results, which must be maintained in a manner according to CMR, blah, blah, blah. So yes, there will be a need to adapt the current immunizations to reflect all current immunizations. And that would be the case if somebody got a titer for a vaccine the day before camp. The expectation is that all vaccines are on the med form. And that's important because if I ended up coming down with COVID and I hung out with Kelly, Ryan, and Cam, if Kelly, Ryan, and Cam are all vaccinated, they would not have to quarantine. However, if they were not vaccinated, they would be required to quarantine for a minimum of 5 days, which means that the 3 of the highest responsible people at Treasure Valley would not be able to be at Treasure Valley. So keeping track of who is vaccinated is important. More importantly, getting vaccinated is important.
Thank you. Are adults able to share tents with other adults?
There is no restriction on that. However, again, hopefully they're vaccinated and they would sleep head to toe.
Thank you. Do cohorts include both youth and adults with respect to head count?
So in the original guidance, we were going to try to be creative. Technically, in the Boy Scout program, adults are quasi campers, quasi staff. My recommendation was going to be that we call them staff because staff would not impact the cohort size. However, they would have to also be secluded from the rest of the cohort. So at this point, there is no requirement for cohort sizes. My recommendation, though, is that a troop that comes to camp, or if the troop decides to break into patrols, that they limit their regular interaction to those groups. And so I think, the recommendation is the smaller, the better. But I think 25 or less is a reasonable cohort size, which can include adults. But there are no hard and fast rules as of Monday.
Thank you, Aaron. We're going to move on to just overall camp questions with Kelly. Can we cook in sight?
You cannot. So this has been a council decision this year for COVID. And Aaron, can you concur with this? So we really want to limit any kind of spread of COVID-19. So all the dining will be through in the dining hall.
So the advised best practice from the state of Massachusetts actually says, when possible, snacks and meals should be brought from home, prepackaged or ready to serve in individual portions. Where this is not feasible, staff must prepare and serve meals. I can tell you that the OCAM Board of Health would not support cooked food being brought to camp for individual serving. So they also say no family style or self-service buffets. And again, we are a recreational camp for children. It is not a troop camp out. As such, the council is responsible for everything that goes on in camp, including what goes on in a campsite. And so honestly, cooking in a campsite is borderline not even allowed as we speak. And especially in light of COVID, it would be my strong suggestion that it be absolutely prohibited this year.
Aaron, does that mean that you're prohibited from making coffee and, you know, small stuff like that for your troop?
That's a good question to put in the chat, and I think we can take that and discuss something like that where it's self-contained. But cooking meals is definitely different than bug juice, assuming that they're not using shared cups, and it's in a single-use cup. But that's a really good question. And Rob, I also saw somebody posted about tap outs. I think that's another good question. I think to Kelly's point, introducing non-screened individuals during the camp program when tons of parents are coming in, let's say if it were in the middle of the week, is a huge risk for us. And so potentially it might not be impossible if Boonsville were used on a Saturday for discharge, for people going home, and if the Order of the Arrow is doing their tap outs on a Saturday. But that's a good question that we can try to answer on Wednesday. Boonsville is our main parade field, which is plenty large for 300 plus people.
Aaron, if you guys could discuss that on Wednesday, just so you know that we're going to do the tap outs on Saturday before they leave at that closing flags. So thank you.
Thank you. Next we have, what is the current thought on having adults come partway through the week and stay till the end of camp?
So that was a prohibition prior to today. So unless they were going to get tested 3 days prior to camp and tested on the day of arrival, they would not have been allowed to come into camp. And it was advised that even camp staff not be allowed to go home. That's how strict the requirements were. So there are advised best practices that just try to limit the people who are going in and out, especially if they're not vaccinated, because all they're doing is reintroducing potential other people who may have exposed them. But that would be a council decision that I would defer to the council.
Thank you. Do there need to be 2 adult leaders with each patrol, or just for the overall troop?
COVID would not impact the requirement of youth protection that we have. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Kelly.
No, so basically we need the 2 adult leaders. I know, and then I've had some questions. Some units have, had some difficulty getting a solid second, and if you're going to be in a campsite with another unit, we'll be able to help you with that. But the best practice is to have 2, over 21 adults, if possible, in with your registered adults.
And if you're trying to limit cohorts, a cohort was defined prior to today as a group of individuals who are going to interact within 6 feet from each other. Now they're saying within 3 feet from each other. So if there's an adult in the patrol, if they're trying to maintain social distance of at least 3 feet, they're not technically within that cohort. And they meet all the youth protection requirements that we have.
Thank you. If troops have to share sites, how will the latrine cleaning and hard shelter be handled?
That is something that, so with these new standards and with the sharing of the sites, we have our ranger and we have our committee that's going to make sure that everything is thoroughly cleaned all day long, every day. You're going to have access to cleaning. We're going to make sure that someone comes in and cleans the sites daily. And then you'll have cleaners to also clean. The sites are very, very large, so you will definitely be able to be social distance from each other. That won't be a problem. So yeah, so cleaning protocols for in-site, and when you share, that's all in process, and you're going to have all that in writing before camp starts.
And I can tell you that the state of Massachusetts on last Monday, I believe, eliminated the requirements for contact cleaning in grocery stores and other businesses. And so it's an airborne disease, airborne virus. And so it's no longer a mandatory, all of the cleaning that was initially set forth in the original requirements. And now there's specific CDC guidance, which recommends high traffic, high use areas be cleaned as often as is appropriate. And so, but there is specific CDC guidance on cleaning shared equipment and facilities.
Thank you. Have sites been assigned yet?
Oh, that's a good question. And I have been trying to get that done. It's literally after we've submit all our NCAP procedures and we're getting through all this, it is, I promise, next on my list. Everyone who has an unassigned site will know very, very shortly. That's definitely on the top of things that need to get done next, because I know you all want to know where you're going to be staying.
And similarly, how do you know if you will be sharing a site?
I will be reaching out to the individual units myself, and actually a lot of leaders have called and said, you know, we're going to share a site. Many units are already sharing a site, but if there's any changes where you were alone in a site and you're going to be having another unit, you will be getting a call from me, you know, and we're going to go over everything. So you'll have no surprises.
Thank you. And just a little clarification, can a troop leader come in? Can a troop leader come in for just a few nights?
Aaron?
As long as they meet the ordinary healthcare screening that we have done prior to COVID, and have had a Corey and SORI, and meet all of the registration requirements of the council, I don't see any reason why COVID would change that.
Thank you. For Ryan, what's happening with troop photos this year?
That's a loaded question. I believe we're going to do it the same way as 2019, which means that you have the option to choose when you get it. If you would like the troop photo when you arrive, that's going to be an option right at the farmhouse. Otherwise, we will schedule it throughout the week. And Ryan Stickney, I need you to chime in here. What was the time frame that you said the lighting is good for them? If you want it down on Boonsville.
Yeah, so the lighting is pretty good at right at like near flags or whatnot. So Ryan, I'll talk to you more about planning where to take photos, and then we'll get more information out when we figure that out. But as of right now, we'll plan on scheduling them whenever. But
I know we've gotten a lot of feedback where units would like to have their picture taken right away when they come in, and some would prefer later in the week. And I think we're going to accommodate, there's no reason why we can't accommodate both requests, because we want to do what's best for the unit. You know, and now that we can have all these lovely, you know, staff volunteers come in, we can bring in extra people to help orchestrate that. So, you know, we'll let you know as we get closer to camp what the final will be for that. But I believe we want to give you the option.
Yeah, I think the best way to move forward would be for you to tell us when you check in, when you want your pictures taken.
Thank you. And is there a predetermined price on the photos?
Not yet. We've got to figure out how they're getting printed and how they're going to get mailed to figure out the price that is for everybody.
Yeah, so we haven't talked about any of the photos yet, but we'll definitely come up with a system where you'll be able to access your photos easily, and you'll be able to buy them, or we'll, like we have done previously with like Smart Mug or something. We'll figure out something, but as of right now, our main focus is just trying to get camp going. But we'll get the photos information out to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Is there a plan for the Scoutmaster Dutch oven cook-offs?
We are awaiting guidance on cooking, but I assume that we will probably, Aaron, not be able to have it.
I think if it's supervised by staff and follows, infection prevention that's set forth in the guidelines, I think there's a safe way to do it. But I think that's all got to be laid out.
All right. Thank you. So it sounds like we will do it. We will figure out how to do it.
Will cleaning supplies be provided, or should troops plan to bring their own?
As a recreational camp for children, not individual troops camping in Rutland, Paxton, Oakham, or Spencer, the camp is responsible for ensuring the facilities are clean. Not to mention that there are certain SDS requirements associated with cleaning supplies. So the camp should be supplying all cleaning supplies and only be used by authorized adults, which can be volunteers, because adults are volunteers in this program, volunteer staff.
Thank you, Aaron. How long will registration be accepted?
What do you mean by which registration?
I'm assuming that's for
camp registration.
I believe so.
Sorry, I had to step out for a moment. Okay, what was the question?
How long will camp registration be accepted?
Right up until, it would be great as soon as you have your final numbers. You can always, add 1 or 2 more towards the end, 2 weeks before camp begins. We, would like to have all your additional add-ons submitted and paid for.
Thank you. Are the Corey and Sorry forms required for adult leaders?
Yes. So
that's a Massachusetts requirement.
Yeah. So, so everyone has to be a registered leader, all the adults that come, to camp with the units. So they're registered. They've already been Corey'd and Sorry'd. So they're good. Unless you want to bring somebody new who, isn't registered and you want to bring them, there's plenty of time, get them registered and Corey'd and Sorry'd, and you can bring them along.
Thank you. So Ryan, for the schedule of merit badges, there's only 1 block of badges after lunch. Is that correct?
That is correct. So the way it's going to run is after lunch, we're going to do adventure block so that you guys know exactly where your scouts are and are able to get them to their adventures. From there, they're going to go to that 4th merit badge block, and then they will have a free block after that where there will be options for additional merit badges. That free block schedule, again, will be put out daily.
And clarification for BSI, how many days is it and what are the hours for it?
It is all week. The last day on Friday in the last hour, there is a little ceremony where you can go. They'll get a patch for doing BSI, and you'll get a list of requirements. And there are 2 sessions. The first session runs from 9 to 11. 9 to 11. So that's the first 2 merit badge blocks. The second session is a split session. So they go 11 to noon. They have lunch, they do adventure block, and then they go back to BSI from 2:30 to 3:30.
Thank you. Just some questions about payments. When are the final payments due?
So if you are adding people at the end, so Ideally, if you have new scouts coming on, say you've already made your main payment and you're adding them on, it would be great if you sent in, when you have the money, another unit submission form, and we'll add that to your registration. But you can keep coming. And the final payment, if anything is done, is the day that you check into camp. So we'll be taking your anything that is left. If you wanted to add on more adults, you know, at that point, if you needed to add on another adult, you know, you would just let us know then. So final money will be settled up the day that you arrive at check-in.
Is there a first year discount?
Yes, so all the Webelos that cross over, the price does not change. It stays at $435 all the way to the end, even if they decide a couple weeks before camp.
And do you have that reduced price?
It's $435.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Ryan, could you just clarify what Brownsea Island is?
Yeah, so that's the first year camper program. It helps to get new scouts acclimated to camp, helps them also to work on requirements that are pivotal to tenderfoot to first class.
Thank you. Will units have the ability to make coffee, some of the smaller drink mixes like bug juice, or bring bottled water?
So technically, we have a food service permit that receives an inspection through the OCAM Board of Health. And so technically, there are requirements for food, but I think we'll present that question to the council committee to look at low risk things like drinking.
Thank you, Aaron. What is the cost for camp for regular scouts after the early bird?
It goes up $30. So instead of $435, it'll be $465.
Thank you. The website claims both a pre-camp meeting on specific Mondays and also on Wednesday.
Yes, and that's actually one of the things I wanted to address tonight. It is the Monday before, so the dates are Monday. So the first pre-camp meeting is June 28th, Monday, June. So they're on Monday evenings.
More importantly, will Ryan continue to bring around coffee in the morning?
Yeah, coffee.
Yes, that will of course still happen for everyone. We'll be sending them around. They'll be made in the kitchen, and then they'll come out with the pumps for you all every morning.
That's about it for questions that I received. Will we have a dedicated site commissioner?
Yes, so Ryan and Cam, who is speaking right now, Cam, both of them will be addressing the sites. They'll be assigned to certain sites that they'll be, taking care of. And as always, you can come to any of the core admin team at any time with any questions. I hope, any questions or concerns. We want to make your stay at Treasure Valley the best that it can be. Despite COVID, we lost so much last year by not having camp. So it's really important that if you have concerns or problems or questions, please, please, please make sure you contact one of the four of us so we can address it. I would hate for anything to go on that you were unhappy with and we didn't know about it. So it's really important. We can't address it or fix it if we don't know that it's wrong. So we really want to be there to help you every step of the way.
Also, if you see pretty sure every troop will be assigned the site guide every week. So if you have any questions, you guys can go to them as well. Anyone, like my mom said, if you see any of us, just ask questions. So, but your the person that will be showing you around once you get there is your site guide, and you can find them at at their program areas.
Thank you. Will there be any additional informational meetings?
Well, at this point, I think we're just gonna wait and see, depending on, so we're gonna meet, the council's gonna meet on Wednesday, and we're gonna come up with our plan. It's great if we could, put it all into an email or an informational packet for you. And that way you can see it, go through it, talk about it, digest it, like we're digesting all the information now. And then you can come back with us with questions. So I'm not ruling out another meeting at this point, but time is ticking away. It's going quick. So before you know it, it's going to be June. So I'm going to leave that to be determined. And if we need to have one, we will call one. And we'll just see at this point.
Thank you, Kelly. Are day campers allowed?
No. So the only people, so there's no day campers. So your unit comes and they stay, and you can't bring in anybody else. So all scouts on the property, all campers have to be registered scouters.
Thank you. Peggy, did you have a question? If not, that wraps up all of the questions that I received.
Cam?
Aaron.
Just one thing. So,
excuse me. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's actually Richard. I'm on my wife's website here. A couple of questions. You folks talked about there's no cooking on site. The governor's released a lot of new regulations as of today. I think you better take a good look at that to see a lot of these restrictions have lightened up considerably by times. The end of June, July comes along. I think this is going to be changing drastically. We really feel in our troop that we want to cook on site. This is a deal breaker for us. The other thing is that in the last couple of years, the fourth block, the afternoon block, that having just an open block with just scouts to fill in wherever they can go and chase some open-end merit badges. That's great for the older boys, but the younger kids, there's a lot of kids just wandering around aimlessly in the afternoon. We'd really like to see you fill that block in with some scheduled badges. Well, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron, did you have a question?
Yeah, so the state still, again, these are the long-standing recreational camp for children guidelines that pre-exist COVID that do address cooking. And so regardless of, the governor's input today, he didn't change, unfortunately, any of the recreational camp for children requirements. So, we have to work within those requirements, but that's something that will be reviewed on Wednesday just to confirm what the council's position will be on that. But they do recommend that there be symptomatic testing using a PCR or an antigen test. So if somebody says they've got a headache, they can't taste or smell, first thing we do is isolate them. And ideally we call their parent and tell them to come get them. There is the option to do on-site testing for those particular individuals. It does require parental permission, which would be required in writing. So there may need to be an additional form provided should a test be used. There's also concern by some that without the requirement that there at least be one test at the beginning of the camp week, that is too risky for them. I'm just wondering if you could use the chat, yes or no, speaking on behalf of your troop and families, would your trooper families have an appetite for an antigen non-invasive test on the beginning of the camp week on that check-in day? just out of curiosity, if everybody could answer that. That is the advised best practice. But again, it's an advised best practice, not a requirement. So I appreciate everybody for doing that.
Yeah, and I appreciate everyone's questions, and and I understand that units have cooked in camp and they've wanted to cook in camp. We have standards that we have to run by with the camp, and especially with COVID. Our main goal is to keep you and your children safe this summer. We want to be able to keep camp running. We want to eliminate as much risk as we can. We don't want your unit leaving because of COVID, our staff going out. We're doing everything we can and following the best practices to keep everybody safe. And I think we have to just all remember that this may not be the most normal summer, but we are having camp, which is, I'm really thrilled that we're going to be able to have camp this summer, and it's looking better than it did 3 months ago. And it's probably going to continue to get better. So, we appreciate everyone's patience as we digest all this information that literally just landed in our laps today. And we will be keeping you abreast of all the information that we get and everything that comes down the road going forward. So if anyone has any other questions that we haven't addressed, everybody knows where to find me. So I'm kelly.stickney@scouting.org. Please, after the presentation, if you have any more questions or you just want to talk to me on your own, I'd be happy to talk to you. At the end of every email is my personal phone, well, my office phone. So, but yeah, so please feel free to call me. I'm here to answer your questions, and I want to make sure that everyone has a great time at camp and we do it really safely. So that's it. Core team, is there anyone else has anything else to say?
Is anybody else? I know Diana's looking for the daily schedule. I'm trying to just get her that from our leader guide. It is in the leader guide, but Diana, I'm going to get you
I dropped it in the chat, the schedule.
The daily one? No, you'll do the merit badge one, but I'm looking for the daily schedule. Miss A, I'm looking to just get that single for you. So I'll send you an email with that. If anyone else would like that, please just put your name in the chat and I'll get that for you. Rob, you got it?
It's just so we can see that people understand that special section right after lunch. What are you guys calling it? The adventure block. That's where that's going to be posted. Is that where that's going to be, Ryan?
So yeah, adventure block's going to go right after that siesta. So at 1:30 will be adventure block.
Right. So that's why I think it's important. You need to have that out as quickly as you can.
Yeah, it's in the leader guide. I'm going to get you just a single PDF of it though.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Aaron, do you have any final closing COVID words?
I will tell you, we've been kicked and punched, but the scouting program continues. And no matter what, we need to be able to offer the camping experience this summer, but do it safely. And I believe that we can do that. It could be a lot worse than what it is going to be. And I'm very grateful that the state, in their infinite wisdom, adapted to some reality. But we can't be reckless. We're going to be safe, and our kids are going to have fun.
And I also just want to add in, thank you all for dealing with the kind of, back and forth of what we're doing this year. I know it's been frustrating for you guys, but just know that we are trying our darndest to make sure that your scouts have the absolute best program possible this summer. I know it's been a rough year for all of us. It's been especially rough for them. We want to make sure that this is a summer that they will not forget. So thank you all for sending your scouts to camp. Rob, go ahead.
So I was just thinking, and I know that most adult leaders and most scouts shower on a staggered basis, but there's always that like continual plume of showering at specific times during the day. Is that going to, preclude some type of schedule so that you don't have, too many people that are either vaccinated, unvaccinated, in close contact with one another, and or sharing that facility in between cleanings.
Aaron?
That's going to be discussed on Wednesday. I will also add that there is still the ability for and I will tell you that I will be wearing masks when I am in closed company, but there is still the ability of individuals to wear masks indoors and outdoors. But the cleaning protocols of all camp facilities is going to be laid out in detail on Wednesday. And prior to today, there was a minimum state required twice a day cleaning of the shower house. And that is, I'm assuming, going to continue to be the required cleaning schedule. And so there may be, as there have been in the past, right after lunch was a time that the shower house was cleaned. It may be that between 8 and 9, the shower house is being cleaned. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are times of day that are limited because of cleaning.
I'm going back to the paperwork question on the quarries. Ours are with a different council. Does that transfer between councils? If you're registered, you're good across councils?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, that's a nice, easy question. I like that.
And Aaron or Kelly, for the cleaning of the shower houses, is that staff duties?
Yes.
Yes, it would not be
yeah.
camp.
Okay, so I think we've gotten everybody, and we're just about coming up on nearly an hour and a half, so that's great. I hope we answered all your questions. Again, feel free to reach out to any of us individually, and I hope you enjoy this great weather that's finally upon us. So I hope everyone has a good night and a good week. Okay, thank you so much.